Welcome to FinTech Africa, everybody. My name is Jan McKay. Have you ever wondered what is different about FinTech than the things you know about banking in South Africa? One of the core differences of FinTech is that traditional financial institutions today are stuck in their legacy systems where they have specific processes and regulatory environments that they have to comply to. Where with FinTech, we are a technology-based orientation that focus on developing solutions that gaps in the market that the current financial institutions fail to service or address. Unlike traditional banks, FinTech startups are free from these legacies. We operate mostly in the area of law where innovation and creativity is supported. This means the global shift and flood of innovation in FinTech currently experiencing using experimental algorithms has opened a world of opportunity that democratize yet another institutionalized monopoly, being financial services. These silos that are protected monopoly systems like banking, insurance, and many more industrial age powerhouses will be challenged because of their lack of innovation. The sector that has attracted the sights of the tech geeks, these are financial sector experienced people that work in the sector but in the technology field. These are highly intelligent people. They are innovative. They are determined. They are very driven individuals with a vision that is coming to streamline this financial services industry. It will replace the incompetence currently experienced by clients. It will provide fast, reliable online systems. It will be free of charge to be used. It will generate more revenue than anybody else, any in the current industries can comprehend. And why is this relevant? Because the tech guys are focused not on this local small market, but we are focused on a broad global market. Can you relate to the problem people are experiencing in terms of lack of access to financial services, in terms of micropayments, as an example, access to certain financial services where credit cards are limited to the 10 million odd people employed in South Africa that are economically active. And the other problems relating to simple things like transferring or sending money to family or friends in different locations, where you have to go through very strict regulatory processes, even to send 100 rand. People need banking, but we don't need the banks. These are strong words. It might shock any banker in his chair. The reality is FinTech is not a replacement of these banking systems as we know it. This disruption is not meant to replace them. It is really a supporting system of improvements that will allow these banks to go into new fields, new technologies, new services that wasn't available to them before, into markets that they haven't served before. If I can use an example, FNB has partnered with PayPal in the FinTech world, which was an upstart who was facilitating online payments without the need for a credit card initially. And now working with the different banks in the world, you are able to transact with companies all over the world doing online payments. The question I have for you today is, in the flavor of things happening at the universities and all over the world, is, do we need a revolution? The picture you see in front of you on the left is a picture of a crop circle that was the motivation behind how we started with this process for CubeBucks. It's quite an interesting mathematical shape. The geometry of a hexagon with 7 cubes encapsulated inside it. And this thing got my mind entangled in a web of thoughts and ideas of what is this and why is this there. And somehow thinking about that shape and that structure, we came to the solution what CubeBucks is today, and which is what I will explain to you. It's an interesting story because the notes we developed with the team through our mindstorming session was 45 pages of information to come up with what we've got. And the answer that we came up with is that we need to find a solution to digitize money, an on-ramp system that will allow you to take 100 rand and put it in a system where you can then use it online as if it was cash. We need a storing system where we can store these funds of value that it's easily accessible, transferable, and extractable when you do need it back. It's got to be able to do transactions of micro value, $1, 10 cents, without costing you 10 Rand to do that same transaction. And we needed a storefront that we could allow you to connect to certain service providers where we would have partnership agreements with, especially with those content that is available in terms of media services. And speaking of the storing of value is a simple solution where we take something physical, a dollar, a yen, a gold, a platinum, a euro, and we take that and digitize that value and store it in a place. When you transfer that value to a third party, that party then has the right to claim that asset or value then again from us. What you're seeing in front of you is typically an example of what the CubeBucks value store system would look like. We would hold cash, as an example, through various entities: Bitcoin, gold, platinum, Ethereum, cash, and silver is the examples of use of actual asset values that we store there. That means that if you do load money into our system, you can check the value that's in the system, and you will always be sure that you can able to extract that value that you put in there back from the system, because it is visible and open to the market. Micro purchases, what we focus on is video on demand, the gaming industry, applications, music, books, and mobile. Our storefront caters for various systems, some traction points. We have extra
When the bell goes, time is over. Thank you very much, Ian. Please just stand there. We'll be asking questions. Ian, don't go away. We'll still ask you a couple of questions for 5 minutes.
Okay. I want to skip to one last part, if you don't mind.
So maybe I can kick this off before the next one.
Yes.
And you talked a lot about trying to make CubeBucks the main payment model that we use. A quick question. We have seen a lot of volatility on Bitcoin. How do you make sure there's stability on the currency?
All right. It's a good question. Bitcoin has no real intrinsic value. It's valued because other people think it's that value. And if everybody today put their Bitcoin on the market to sell, it's worth nothing. There's nothing that you can go and claim against the virtual currency that's held as Bitcoin. And we said that is wrong. We shouldn't be like that. And that's why we created our own currency. There's intrinsic value behind it, so you can always go back and claim a value against that we hold. Okay. Yes, Bitcoin is part of our holdings because we want to allow people to trade into the Bitcoin network and pay with service providers that don't accept our currency at the time.
Thank you.
So it's a pity you couldn't finish off your presentation to get to the crux of the product, But from what I can see, in order for this product to be successful, it needs a pervasive use. In other words, the rollout needs to be extensive. So I'd like to hear what your strategy to make sure you maximize or get a lot of usage of your product. And then you speak about, giving access to people without banking, right? Yes. How are people going to digitize their money onto your platform for those that don't have banking facilities?
Your first question relating to focusing on specific markets, getting a lot of transactions through the system to make it work. It relies on us having these agreements, and that's why I didn't get to traction slides, and that's, I think, answers a part of that question. We're currently sitting with agreements with book suppliers, game suppliers, and video game producers. On my next slide, I say the client of my customer is my client. If you want to buy a book from Amazon and you don't have a credit card, then you can use our system to pay for that book because of our on-ramp system, which is the second part of your question. How do you get your money into the system? We have a very familiar method of getting money digitized. If you are familiar with how you buy prepaid airtime from your local corner shop, you go and buy a voucher, it gives you a 16-digit PIN, and you go on your phone and you type it in, and you have, let's say, 100 Rand worth of airtime. That airtime now is not airtime anymore, it's money, and that money can be utilized through our application for a purchase on the system. Did I answer your question? Sorry. Thanks.
What is your revenue model?
Okay. That's the next slide. It was too slow. I'm so sorry. I tried to pitch this thing in 7 minutes, but it doesn't work. Our business model for income is based on the 4 items that you see on the screen in front of you. Transaction fees, but it's a low transaction fee basis, at 2.5% of the value, with a minimum of 25 cents, which is approximately R2 per transaction. Voucher sales commissions, we got sales commission agreements with all the companies that we have the vouchers on our system for. It varies between a 6 and an 8% rebate, which we get through that. Our voucher sales trades, I didn't get to that slide also, if I can quickly explain. If you have R100 on your Apple device at the moment, but you don't have any apps that you want to buy, you can do nothing with that R100. It's going to sit there. With our system, you can sell that R100 to us for 8% discount, so I'll give you 92 rands for that R100, and then someone else will buy that from us, and that way we can utilize still that R100 with someone, but you now have a 92 rand, that you can spend with another service provider on our platform. So there's a fee, transaction fee that we take from that interchangeability between the different voucher platforms. And then on the bank deposit, when you load your money on our wallet system, you don't earn interest on that because it's a micro value. I don't expect you to have more than 200 to 300 rands on there at a time. And that interest that we will earn through the volume that we've got will be interest that the company will benefit from. Answer your question. And there was a question there, please.
Yeah. Just in terms of your growth, if you had to choose one partner on the continent, who would that be? And then if you've had any issues with regulation, or do you foresee having issues with regulation?
Okay. Which government department you work for? Joke. Regulation. The Reserve Bank is the main regulator in terms of the financial process that we're working with in South Africa. In South Africa, the US, and in Europe, they've actually written a paper that excludes vouchers and virtual currency from regulation by the central bank because they are not responsible for the production, publication, and issuing of the currency that we're producing. And because of that regulatory note, which is valid today, might change tomorrow, but for that purpose, at the moment, we're within or outside of the legal constraints of what the Reserve Bank govern. However, that said, there are the Financial Services Board component that is still got about 8 different regulatory components that we do have to comply with. One of the functions that's available in our app is the ability to transfer money. Now, that is seen as a transfer. We're transferring money means with money. I can't think. It's a forex market, and that forex market is regulated, and for that we will need a license. We don't have a license for that, therefore I didn't pitch it today, and it is in our plans for future expansion into that market then. Excuse me, there was another point that I missed.
If you could pick one partner.
As I said, my customer's client is my customer. Therefore, I can facilitate 100 different vouchers. And if you give me a second, I think it's back, sorry. If I can just show you, yeah, there. What you see there, there's Amazon, there's Nook, and we've spoken to all of these companies, and we have agreements with them for distribution of a digital voucher on our platform. We even included the funeral benefit. So if you are sitting in Shoshanguve in a rural hut, you can still buy funeral cover for your family from Hollard, which is me. I don't need to comply to, like PEP didn't have to do a financial services license to sell that. They're using Hollard's license to sell that. But those are all the local specific components. If I choose something today where I'm standing here and where we are in the company that to focus on, it would be the local content components. However, nobody in South Africa or Africa is selling Steam vouchers. Nobody is selling Minecraft. Nobody is selling Amazon. So all of those things we have a monopoly on because we have the distribution agreements with these companies for the African continent.
Thank you, Ian. And I'll take a quick question. 1 minute.
I'm out if you say.
Hi. Just, it's 2 components to the question. What's your current traction with the actual end users? And then also, do you have plans to limit the actual amount of CubeBucks in circulation on the system?
traction in terms of end users, we are in beta with a few small groups. We specifically targeted the gaming sector because there was the gaming expo recently, and there was a few events where games was launched with special upgrades you can only buy online, and gamers don't own credit cards, and therefore they were perfect clients to test with. It's all offline. It's not in the online-based system that I'd like to have it run. That's why I said it's in a beta, because we couldn't link to the back end of the Steam voucher system, because I have to pay a huge amount of money, $100,000 into their system to allow me to do a live transaction with them. So, but I did buy a few vouchers upfront that we could load on our system. So in terms of traction of end users, and then the other
30
one was?
seconds on that one.
Well, the amount of CubeBucks in circulation.
CubeBucks in circulation.
CubeBucks in circulation,
yeah.
and then we close it.
It's at that value there was about $29,000 in value that we've got, but it's down now to about 18,000. Money move in on a daily basis. Most amounts stay there for less than 24 hours. So just in what you would normally find.
Thank you very much, Ian. Now,
Thanks.
guys, please give him a hand of applause. Thank you.